Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 4th Annual Hill and Valley Forum. My name is Christian Garrett, and I'm a partner at 137 Ventures, and I'm also the co-founder of the Hill and Valley Forum alongside Delian and Jacob. For those new to the forum, let me tell you what you're in for by first starting with some history. Our industry, the tech industry, began in the 20th century with a close partnership with government during the Cold War. Bell Labs, Fairchild, Intel, and more all benefited from large government contracts and federal research grants to universities like Stanford, MIT, Carnegie Mellon, and more. Vannevar Bush, Robert McNamara, Frederick Terman, Claude Shannon, and more led the way to make sure government was effectively partnering with technology and industry to achieve U.S. technological and economic supremacy. As we all know, we succeeded. We won. But something happened, and post-Cold War, those bridges began to break. Silicon Valley found a new focus, and government found a new way. We started this event to rebuild that bridge between Silicon Valley and Capitol Hill in order to win the next Cold War, and win it we will. Former President Calvin Coolidge said the business of America is business, and we believe ensuring the success of business, the success of industry, the success of technology is how we continue American leadership and strength this century, and this success is only possible with a strong public and private sector that works together. King David wrote in the Psalms on how beautiful it is when brothers and sisters live together in unity, and let today remind you of that. Before I let Delian and Jacob give their remarks, I'd be remiss to say that this event does not exist without the same spirit of unity. And what better way to do that than to partner with our entire ecosystem to build these bridges together. So with that, I'd like to thank all of our supporters, and there's a lot of them, so bear with me. 137 Ventures, 8VC, Applied Intuition, Caffeinated, DCVC, Founders Fund, Gecko Robotics, Hadrian, K2 Space, Coastal Ventures, Lightspeed, Lower Carbon Capital, Lux Capital, Marathon Capital, OpenAI, Palantir, Peregrine, Ramp, Regent, Saronic, Second Front, Sequoia, Shield Capital, Sierra Nevada Corp, Shrug Capital, and Varda. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your support, and thank you everyone for attending, and let's use this event to continue the momentum and work we all do year-round.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for waking up early to come for the opening remarks rather than just waiting till Jens and Huang got on stage. So appreciate that. My name is Delian Asparouhov. I'm one of the other co-founders of the Hill and Valley Forum. In my 2 day jobs, I'm also a partner at Founders Fund, which is one of the preeminent venture capital firms in Silicon Valley. And my other day job is I'm the co-founder and president of Varda Space Industries, where we build in-space manufacturing facilities to produce pharmaceuticals and reentry pods that bring those pharmaceuticals back down to Earth. We also use those reentry pods to support Defense Department priorities, like the testing of next-generation hypersonic technologies. Christian and Jacob will both, Christian spoke and Jacob will speak about the unique geopolitical situation we find ourselves in today. And today's panels will be focused on particular areas of technology that can give the United States an advantage against our adversaries. In some areas of technology, the United States is woefully behind today, like shipbuilding, where the Chinese have over 200x the shipbuilding capacity of the United States, or rare earth minerals processing and magnet manufacturing, where China has a 90% market share. In other areas, the United States has the lead, but our adversaries are clearly nipping at our heels. In the field of artificial intelligence, our research labs in the United States clearly dominate the field, both in consumer applications like ChatGPT, we'll have Chief Product Officer of OpenAI, Kevin Weil, later today, but also in scientific fields like Alphabet's protein structure prediction, AlphaFold. At the same time, the Chinese released DeepSeek's open source model, which gained usage across the globe and gives China a soft power by disseminating an AI model to the world that refuses to acknowledge the Tiananmen Square massacres. In the world of aerospace, which is very near and dear to my heart, I'm a sci-fi geek, and the company that I started has to operate in space, the United States clearly maintains the lead in launch cadence, reusable rockets, and total mass to orbit. At the same time, just a quarter ago, the Chinese landed rovers on the far side of the moon, collected drilling samples from the far side of the moon, and returned those back to Earth. This achievement that the United States has never done, and the last time we actually collected core samples on the near side of the moon, Nixon was president, and so probably a significant portion of this room was not around. Now, the Chinese clearly have clear plans to get boots on the moon in 2030, and it'll be disastrous for the West if we cede the high ground to them. In a dictatorship like China, they are able to execute a full military-civil fusion that enables them to work in lockstep with commercial technologies. Thankfully, everyone in this room lives in a democracy that respects human rights. But that means in order to stay ahead in areas that we are currently ahead and catch up in areas where we're behind, we need to convince technology leaders, policymakers, appropriators, and military leaders to convene in a single venue and discuss the policy changes and collaborations that are necessary to stay ahead. I'm a proud immigrant to America, and I believe it's the greatest country on earth. And I hope through the collaborative relationships that are formed here today, we can return to American excellence in all areas of technology. America invented all of these technologies, and so let's just bring them back home. That way we ensure Pax Americana dominates not only for the next century, but for the next millennia as humanity ventures out into the solar system. We hope you enjoyed today's discussion, and I'll pass it off to my co-founder, Jacob.
Good morning. It's great to be with you. My name is Jacob Helberg. I am a proud advisor to the CEO of Palantir Technologies and currently President Trump's designee for Undersecretary of State for Economic Affairs. I'm very proud to say that this is by far the largest and arguably most consequential gathering we've hosted yet. While this group has grown to a record size, I see so many familiar faces as I look around this room. And in fact, I see many faces that joined the Hill and Valley Forum 4 years ago. And for those of you who were there, I'm sure you can see just how far we've come. 4 years ago, this group practically met in private behind closed doors, not out of choice, but out of necessity. The small group of technologists and policymakers who gathered back then were rebels in an environment where the conformists in Silicon Valley and Washington weren't just on different coasts, but seemingly on different teams. Just recall the reality of that moment. In Washington, it was all the rage to lash out at Silicon Valley for its business practices and behavior, and in Silicon Valley, it was nearly pious and noble to refuse to work with the US government. But look at how far we've come. In 4 short years, we flipped the script. Today, the Hill and Valley Forum has by far become the preeminent gathering of technology builders and policymakers. And thanks to the work of all the builders in this room, we've made the 2021 counterculture the 2025 mainstream culture. And we've done so by asking ourselves a timeless American question: what we can do to help the country, not what the country can do to help us. The partnership between Silicon Valley and Capitol Hill is arguably more important now than it's ever been. It's been 80 years since America has fought its last great power war. That's the same amount of time that's elapsed between the Civil War of the 1860s and the Second World War. Just think about how profoundly different those two worlds were and how profoundly different those two wars were. Technology today is accelerating on every front and completely transforming the character of warfare. History teaches us that periods of rapid technological change can lead to major shifts in the global balance of power. Upholding American deterrence in the decade ahead will require America to convert today's rapid technological change into hard power. In other words, keeping peace means reinventing war, and technology is the key. Thankfully, thanks to President Trump's leadership, we'll soon have our good friend Emil Michael leading technology efforts at the Department of Defense as the Undersecretary for R&E, and we'll hear from Emil later today. The theme of this year's forum is Rebuilding America, and thanks to the policies of this administration and historic advances in AI, I believe we're on the cusp of unlocking a reindustrialization revolution in this country. This is in and of itself an American miracle. It's just been over a decade since Steve Jobs told former President Obama that Apple's manufacturing jobs were never coming back to America. Today, that same company not only announced it was moving its supply chains for iPhone production out of China, but it's also investing $500 billion in manufacturing right here at home. But it's not just Apple. Since President Trump was elected, there's been nearly $3 trillion in new private sector investment thanks to his pro-growth America First policies, which are showing the rest of the world that it's possible to make things in America again. This is something innovators and policymakers are finally on the same page about. Everyone in this room realizes that economic security is national security, and today's program will showcase the most significant advantage we have in the 21st century over our competitors, which is our people. This year's forum, from panelists to participants, is a clear reminder that we have the very best people, builders and innovators, and they are the fabric of American power and dominance. We have the best policymakers, both Republicans and Democrats, who are working day in and day out to put their country first, support innovation, and above all else, ensure the 21st century is an American one. Most importantly, we have the best leader in the world. President Trump is objectively and truly a sample of one. No one who loves this country is relentless and as resilient, and the only person able to inspire a new golden age. The stars have aligned. We have the builders, we have the innovators, the policymakers and leaders for a reindustrialization revolution in this country that seizes this new American moment. And now, without further ado, I'd like to welcome someone whose lived experience embodies the spirit of the Hill and Valley Forum, a former Microsoft executive, a former venture capital investor, a former governor of the great state of North Dakota, and America's 55th Secretary of the Interior. Please welcome my good friend, Doug Burgum.